What's good, y'all? Master Yoshi here. I'm gonna teach you how to clutch this upshift and how to clutch this downshift. Drop the beat. Yeah, what's good, y'all? So first off, I'm gonna preface this by saying I believe this works best with sports bikes or high revving or bikes with high revving engines. I don't believe it works as well with the big old V-twins, the big old Harley Davidsons and everything with where they max out or redline at 8,000 RPM. I don't believe it works with those. So also, I'm going to try to make this as elementary as I can. I'm going to talk in concept and not necessarily talking specifics or technicalities when it comes to how your transmission works and all that. So first, let's talk about why you need a clutch to shift in the first place. So when you're on the throttle, in the instance that I am right now, my engine is putting load on my transmission. And my transmission needs to be unloaded to shift gears. That's what the clutch does. The clutch unloads the transmission so that I'm able to freely change gears. So again, when on the throttle, the transmission is loaded. Pulling in the clutch unloads the transmission, and your transmission needs to be unloaded to shift gears. So the two conditions in which your transmission is loaded is when you're on the throttle and when you're engine braking. So the only time you can shift gears is when your transmission is unloaded. So how do we do that? How do we unload our transmission with no clutch, Master Yoshi? Well, my good people, there's a split instant when your transmission is unloaded, and that is in between being on the throttle and engine braking. That split moment. So right here is real brief. So in order to clutch this upshift, you need to quickly roll off of the throttle and quickly shift up into the next gear, like so. You can hear it, you can't really see it because I don't got a camera down on the foot. But that's all I'm doing. As soon as I let off the throttle, I'm flipping it up into the next gear. Now, if you want to practice this, the easiest way to learn how to do it is to put your foot under your gear shift and put a little pressure on it, getting ready to shift up. And when you're ready to shift it up, just quickly roll off the throttle. This is actually how I learned how to do it. I actually did it on accident the first time I ever did it. It was a total accident. I was doing some aggressive accelerating, and I had my foot under my gear shift, getting ready to shift to the next gear. And as soon as I let off the throttle, before I even had time to grab my clutch, I was already in the next gear. So I was actually clutchless upshifting before I even knew it was a thing. Then I started looking online to find out what was going on and figured out that it's a totally fine thing to do. So now when it comes to clutchless downshifting, it's a little bit more tricky because you must rev match. Now rev matching is something else I'll touch on in another video. But basically the concept is the same. You need to get your RPMs up, and in that split second before you start engine braking is the time you need to switch your gear. Also, it helps to use a little bit of front brake when you clutchless downshift to keep from lurching forward. So here, I'll show you a clutchless downshift. And you saw on that second one from second to first, I lurched forward a little bit, could have used a little bit more front brake. So it's definitely tricky, you need some finesse, but it's fun to do. Now in terms of if it's bad for your bike or not, now I'm gonna say this, I'm no mechanic and I'm no engineer, and I don't know exactly how transmissions work and all that, you know what I'm saying? I can't regurgitate how everything works, but I will say from the sense that I have, I would say no, it doesn't harm your engine if you do it correctly. Why? Because that's what quick shifters and auto flippers do. They do the same thing as clutchless shifting. They just do it much more faster. A quick shifter works by when you put that pressure on the lever to shift up, the electronics will cut the power to the engine and allow you to shift. Cutting the power to the engine creates the situation I'm talking about, an unloaded transmission. Same thing with an auto blip. When you auto blip, you hear it zoom, 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 rev matching and allowing you to unload the transmission before downshifting. Again, here's a clutchless downshift. Got a little bit of front brake. Let me show what my hands are doing a little better. So here's a clutchless upshift into third. Just quick. Now let's do some clutchless downshifting. See, I'm front braking right here. And a nice little flick of the wrist. Look at the flick of the wrist. Let's see, which way do I want to go? I don't even know where the hell I'm at. Yeah, that one was butter smooth. No clutch, no nothing. You don't need it. But again, man, I'm gonna show y'all a couple examples real quick. So now you might be thinking, so what's the even point of getting a quick shifter? If you just ride on the street, you don't need a quick shifter. But if you want to be on the track or whatever, then yeah, that quick shifter will make a difference. But just regular street riding, nah, you don't need it. For a person like me, nah, I don't need it. Just quick and butter. Look at them shifts. And it also seems like the faster you're going, the easier it is to do it. And also, talking about this unloaded transmission, the other instance in which your transmission is unloaded is when you're in neutral. So yes, in theory, you can shift from neutral to first or neutral to second without the clutch, but you'll stall out. But under that instance too, neutral, your transmission is technically unloaded. But here we go. Who you see downshifting with no left hand? Me, Master Yoshi, aka Thug Nasty. But alright, man, that's all I got for y'all, man. Y'all stay blessed, don't be too stressed. Master Yoshi out. Peace.